So all the things that we've been digging up around Cahokia for the last 4 years, they were all centered here. This is the center of the Holy Family Parish. The original church that was built here in 1699 was built somewhere in the vicinity of where I'm standing. And then in 1799, they built this, a replacement church, and it's been used as the center of the parish ever since.
This church is finished in 1799 and replaced the original. The way this one is built, the parish men get together. They actually, take care of cutting all the beams, dressing the beams, getting ready for them to be placed. But it's two brothers who actually do the construction of the beams themselves. They were the only ones who knew how to do it, apparently. And their last name is Voudry, and their family still attends our parish. It's all black walnut. Condition-wise, it's so old, it's pretty much petrified. There's nothing can happen to it. Age-wise, quite a few of the beams that are in this are reused from the original 1699 church. French people don't start over if they don't have to. If they've got one piece they can use, they're going to use it. Consequently, some of these beams, for them to get this big as a black walnut tree to be used in 1699, had to start growing before Columbus came to the New World.
How long has your family been in Cahokia?
Since about 1740. They came from a little town in France called Batonville, which is closest big town is Nancy. And so that would make me 11th generation here. And we just, I guess, can't find anywhere else to go. Just we keep hanging around. But there's still probably, I don't know, 20 families that still belong to the parish that actually can trace their family back almost that far, or that far.
So you're related to, we know this is a historic place. This
Yes.
is one of the few places in Illinois that when we look around, we see houses that were built by the French.
Right.
We see streets that were surveyed and named by the French.
Right.
When we dig in the ground, we find the garbage.
Yep.
But you've got a whole different relationship to this stuff. So this was just your family, and
right.
when you were growing up, can you talk a little bit about what it was like to go to church here in a church built in 1799 and to be part of this community that was very old?
The thing that I remember as a kid, I was related to everybody else that was here. There was hardly anyone who lived in the village that in one way or another, by second cousin, third cousin, uncle removed, whatever, they were not a relative of mine. And therefore, almost everybody knew everybody else. There were some houses that you knew, the insides were, actual old French homes, and then have since been fixed or modified so that you don't see that anymore. But, it probably, except for a few modern conveniences, things were the same as they would have been in 1820. I read in my school books about this, that, and the other thing. They talk about Lewis and Clark as a child. I never knew that Lewis and Clark came through here. I never knew Lewis and Clark and probably the entire crew have actually been inside this building. The two little candlesticks on the altar, these are a gift. We have 5 of these. We had 6. Back in the 1700s, somebody stole them, and we only got 5 back. They look heavy, but they're real light, and part of that reason is they came first from France to Quebec, and then from Quebec by canoe down here to us, and they're a gift from Louis XIV. not. Yeah. This is used during Mass.
Right.
This is what, are you Catholic?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this makes it so much easier.
8 years of Catholic school, too.
So this is an original patent.
Right.
This came with the missionaries in '98 and has been here ever since. And if you hold it, you can see it's gold plated, but it's pure, almost 100% silver. You can take it in the palm of your hand and you could bend it in half. It's that pliable because it's all silver. The missionaries come here in 1698. Along with them, they bring a Ciborium for keeping consecrated hosts, a paten to be used for Mass, a chalice, and the original missal to say Mass. So, the Ciborium they brought would hold probably 12 hosts. There wouldn't have been more than 12 people here that were Catholic. So there's no reason to bring a large Ciborium with you. Consequently, the original one is real small. By 1709, they've graduated, they need a bigger one. So this one is from 1709. This is our original chalice. The case only dates to about 1800. It was made by a parishioner for the parish priest at the time, who once a month would have to row a canoe across to St. Louis to say Mass for the people over there because they did not have a resident priest. Parishioner felt Father at least should have a nice carrying case for the original chalice. So it's made of deerskin. It's really cool. But inside then this is the original chalice that came here in 1698 from Quebec in a canoe.
We, over the past 4 years or so, have been digging up thousands of artifacts from daily life in the village of Cahokia. And almost exclusively those artifacts are related to the very prosaic elements of making supper and eating supper and building a house and maybe shooting a gun. This kind of object, though, is very different, obviously, and it was stationed at the spiritual center of what was Cahokia, which was the Holy Family Parish. So it's the point here is that we see very different aspects of life at Cahokia depending on where we look. When we look in the ground, we look at daily life, very prosaic, very utilitarian things, the kinds of things that people didn't really think about, they didn't write down on paper, and that they threw away. This is a very different object, obviously, and it's been kept above ground at the Holy Family Parish for 300 years.
This is the original missal that was brought here by the missionaries in 1698. Would have come in a canoe. This is probably one of their heavier items, but that's the way it is when you have a missal for Mass. As you can see, it's in fairly decent shape for as old as it is.
We've been doing archaeology here now for a couple of years in Cahokia, and the reason we have anything to dig up, the reason we have a French village to look at archaeologically, is because of this volume. This missal, published in 1668, brought here by 3 French-Canadian priests, was the beginning of everything. It was the center of Cahokia. In a way, it still is. The missal was at the heart of the trip down here, and it was at the heart of the small mission chapel that was constructed on a sand ridge overlooking a little creek. This was the middle of everything, and around the teachings that this volume represented, a village grew, and it's still here today.